We shall begin with opening song called "This Door is Open to You."
No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just pass.
So I am excited to be here, and I'm really excited to have everyone here who's here. It's very interesting to have people that you literally haven't seen for a year not be there. But to see people whom I haven't met, that's really nice. And to see people I haven't seen for a year is extraordinary. So thank you for being here. And hopefully you'll have as much fun as I'm having just being here myself. We're starting out with the prodigal minister. Monica Sandoval strayed from here a while. And she's back. Welcome her. It will be followed, and she's going to give the opening prayer. It'll be followed by a little more Eddie Watkins Jr., and then by some meditation from my good friend and fellow traveler, Arch Crane. Mm-hmm. So welcome, Monica. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Reverend Tim. It's so good to be back and see everybody. So join me this beautiful afternoon as we go to that place at the center of our being, the place where we find the wisdom that teaches us what we need to do, and the love that shows us what we need to ask and do. That place is where the divine resides within each and every one of us. Divine wisdom, divine love, divinity made present in each and every one of us. For we know that we are one with the divine. And as we bask in this beautiful space with this beautiful energy and this gorgeous weather, with everything in nature working for us, I know that this is a blessed place. And each and every one of us is blessed. And it's a blessing for each other and for others who may come in contact with us. That is my word spoken today as we begin this service, as we begin this week. And so I am grateful to be here, grateful for each and every one of us here, grateful for this opportunity to show the divine within. And I allow this to be the truth of who we are, each and every one of us. And I say thank you, Father, Mother, God, and so it is.
God is, I am, right here, right now.
God is, I am. So open your eyes. Be aware, be present. That's what it's all about. Meditation is being aware, being present. Listen to the birds. Watch your world open up as you listen to what is. Open your heart. Peace, be still, and know I am omnipresent, omniscient, all-powerful. We are the children of God. We are individualizations of God. We are part of this. There is no separation. You may think that you're an individual in the world and you're running around, but this is it. Now, right this moment. Now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Focus on being present to what is. The birds, the beautiful flowers, the wonderful people around you. Breathe it in. Deep breaths. Let go of all these thoughts about what am I going to do next? Or what did I do yesterday? And just be here with us today. Be in this place, this precious place, this moment. The only time we really have. Peace, be still and know. Peace, be still and know. Deep breath. There we go. There we go. Peace, be still and know. By the grace of God, we have this miracle in front of us. This miracle called life. Let's enjoy it. Be in joy. Not in sadness, not in desperation. Be present now to who you truly are. A precious gift to everybody else in this room, to everybody else in this world. You're so necessary. Open your heart. Compassion, empathy, love. Present. Gracias.
This doesn't happen by one person, or two people, or three people. It happens when we all show up. There are several people who have done a lot of showing up. One is Deborah, Reverend Deborah. The other is Reverend Maureen. The other is Daisy Beth. The other is Arch. And the last person I'll mention is Steve. Steve has saved us from the abyss of elderly people wrestling with technology. I'm an ample, able, enthusiastic wrestler, but my brain doesn't do too well anymore. It seems like these things are hard to understand. And the movies that I remember laughing at the elderly role of, oh, I don't understand, I resemble that. Steve has been very helpful in that. I don't think he's that much younger than I am, but his brain certainly is. And he's managing one of the hardest technological things in the world, and that is my boombox. That's his particular job today, and he's also our webmaster. And I've asked him to tell a little bit about our web and what was the other thing? Oh, yes. The thing that I haven't mentioned, but I want him to talk about is the prayer circle that is formed and meets every Wednesday and what that's about. So please welcome Steve as he talks about these two essential parts of our ministry as it is today. Steve?
Well, a while ago, some of us grew really frustrated with the current state of the CSL website. And so after a group of us approached him, he was kind enough to say, leave me alone. And we got him to hire a professional web creator. And she created the basic layout for the new website. And then Reverend Deb and I got trained by her, and then I became the webmaster. So I invite you to look at that. It's cslchapala.com, all in small letters. And on there, on the very front page, the home page, you can sign up for the newsletter. And as far as we know, it's working. People have been able to sign up for the newsletter, actually get it to them. There's also a team page where all the ministers and practitioners are listed for that. There's also a prayer link where you can request a prayer. And what that does, that goes to me immediately, and then I respond as soon as I get it. And then part of that is our Wednesday morning. There's 3 ministers and myself that meet and take those requests into prayer. And then we also pass those prayers on that have come in to other ministers and other practitioners by email. So if you need prayer, there's a really large group of people that will be praying for you. And that happens every Wednesday morning. I don't know what else to say. And go to the site, check it out, check all the pages. Let us know. We're still tweaking it and trying to get it the way we are. But I'm constantly tweaking it every week, updating it, checking to make sure things are working. And I'm enjoying it. I designed one website in the past, so this is a real huge learning process for me. But I'm grateful. I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person to speak, to be up here, is Reverend Maureen Jones. How many have yet to know Reverend Maureen? Has anybody here not met her yet? Because today you'll get the chance to really see her and see what she's about. She came here 10 years ago, basically, and the first thing in my encounter with her was we drove up to Guadalajara, which was a semi-adventure, but then we went there with the intent of going to mine, I believe it was hers too, first Toastmaster meeting in Mexico and in Spanish. And that has led to a whole other thing that we've been involved with together. She's been part of the CSL community the whole time since we just started a year or two before she got here. And she at least doubled, maybe tripled the degree of consciousness by her involvement. Before coming here, she had worked in Dallas, lived and worked in Dallas and had been a corporate trainer. But in addition, it had a spiritual center that focused on spiritual mind treatment and meditation and channeling in the consciousness of the Christ. So she had had a deep experience a long time before she got here, and then has been contributing her wisdom not only to those of us who speak English, but also to the Spanish-speaking community, because she happens to be bilingual too. She and Reverend Monica are our most fluent people in both languages. These have been divisive times, and this is thought to be one of the most divisive decades in the history of our nation. I'm not sure that that's the case, but it often feels that way. One of the things that I love about our community is that we're about unity. We're about accepting everyone. We're about creating something together rather than struggling against. Today, that is what Reverend Maureen is going to talk about, the power in unity and the importance of it. Please welcome Reverend Maureen.
Thank you, Reverend Tim, for that great introduction. And wow, it's so nice to be with all of you and feel your power, to feel your energy, feel your auras. So the power and unity is expressing already. The 13th century Persian poet Rumi was reported to have been asked, "How many paths are there to God?" He answered, "There are as many paths to God as there are souls on the earth." When I got the title for this talk, The Inspiration, the Power in Unity, at first in my mind I thought, well, that's about one of the basic principles of New Thought, New Age, oneness, unity. We're all one. Yet when I settled in and asked for more guidance about what to talk about, what is the inspiration, what was uncovered to me is there are 3 types of unity that we want to consider today. And the first type is the unity with our divine self. When we acknowledge who we are and join with the divine within, that's one kind of unity. And the second type I want to talk about is unity in relationships, in our relationships with other people. And the third kind is the unity in community, whether it be local or global or somewhere in between. Well, our personal power, unifying with our divine self, our Christ self, I learned about in a course where I studied my ministerial at the center in San Diego called Teaching of the Inner Christ. And the first course that I had was an inner sensitivity course called Being a Christ. That's clear. Later on, I met someone named Susan Shumsky, who took the same idea with the same teacher, Ascended Master Babaji, and called her program Divine Revelation. So I'll be drawing from those experiences and those teachings to talk about our personal power and how we draw that into our human self, because that is who we are. And I'll start with an allegory. Back in my days of corporate training, I was asked to do, my group was asked to do a computer class at a rather large publishing company, McGraw-Hill. And then they were in my area, and I thought, okay, someone else is going to do this. But the group decided I was the one. And mostly they decided because it was a very entry-level course, and I tend to have a lot of patience. So I showed up the first day to the training room, and wow, I was a little bit blown away. At my station, there were 2 huge screens behind me, 2 computers, and then every station for every trainee had 2 screens, 2 computers, and I think I was hyperventilating. And the IT person who came in to support me, he said, I'll be here the first couple of sessions to support you. And the main thing is to tell the warehouse personnel that are coming in, because we want them to put their orders on the computer, the main thing for them to remember is that they can't break it. I thought, oh, good to know. I sighed relief. The trainees started filing into the lab, and I was greeting them, and after the introductions and explanation of what the course was about, I said, okay, folks, turn on your computer. And I got this blank look from half of them. You know about that, Steve? And I went, oh, it's that level of class. Well, my point in telling you this story, this allegory, is that when we talk about living from the highest and best part of our being, our divine self, our I am self, we sometimes get impatient with ourselves. So the call today is to be patient with yourself, with your human self. Allow the process of forgetting the stuff that we've learned about being human and remembering who we really are. The second thing about you can't break it. You can never break that contact with who you really are. You are really at the center of your being, divine. And power. We mostly recognize the power button that looks like this. But we don't think about what our power buttons are. Our power buttons to living a happy, fulfilled life. So I'm going to mention a few of mine. My power buttons are affirmations, spiritual mind treatment, Christ channeling, or sacred channeling in the Christ consciousness, and meditation. And those I learned from being on the path, beginning at the Unity Church of Dallas and then moving into the ministerial studies that I commuted to Southern California to learn. So, would you like to live from a sense of wholeness and well-being? Well, I'd invite you to start with affirmations. Affirmations help us to live in integrity. What do I mean by that? Integrity. Integrating our divine self into our mind, into every part of our mind, and living wholly and completely. And I like to read what Anne Meyer and Peter Meyer, Anne was my aunt by marriage, and she wrote this book. I should say she channeled it from the Christ consciousness. But what she says about affirmations is that affirmations are speaking of the truth, speaking of the truth or perfection. It's a statement of truth. It's as compared to a fact being a statement of how things appear to be. For instance, a person may be experiencing a lack of money, the fact that the person is broke or has no money, but the truth is that they're always fully provided for by the all-loving, universal God. If one affirms the truth regularly, with all the belief one can summon, one will set up cause for more money to come to them. So a good affirmation is, I am abundantly, richly provided for by the all-powerful, all-loving God. Of course, if you have a jerk-knee reaction to the word God, like I did when I started in the ministry, I said spirit, energy, I am, etc., etc. I have a few other affirmations I like a lot. Flip through here. I know that they're here. These were in last month's Science of Mind spiritual guides, daily guides. And I learned early on to be careful or be aware of what I say after the word I am, the words I am. And here's some examples of what affirmations grounded in the truth are. I am at peace with myself and the world. I am a loving presence. I am loved. Feel those wash over you. I am a healing presence. I am healed. I am awakening to the truth of my spiritual magnificence. I am magnificent. I am living in joy. I am the voice of spirit on earth. I am a light in the world, and I shine brightly. So the next step is, how do we, once we're living from that high vibration, oh wait, I have a picture for you. We focus on our physical bodies in this culture that most of us grew up in. Yet we are a multidimensional, and I love this artist rendition, and I took this unashamedly, just made a copy from my Encyclopedia of Subtle Bodies. And this artist's way of presenting our 12 our subtle bodies. So when we have come together today, our subtle bodies are impacting each other. My job is to work to keep my consciousness vibrating at a level where the people that I draw into my life, the beings, the experiences are vibrating at a high level. And we've all had days where we aren't. And there's signals. There's signals to take a breath and make a step in affirming who we really, really are. Another artist's rendition of who we are in a mystical way is this picture. This shows our physicalness and perhaps our mental body and then our emotional body and our more subtle, energetic bodies. These help me to visualize, conceptualize, and feel when something's running up against my outer protected shield of a subtle body, which, of course, I go out and say, get in the car, and every time I put on my seatbelt, I say, I close and seal my aura to all but God. And that certainly helps keep me safe in traffic. That might help you too. That's an affirmation. To talk a little bit about what we do on Wednesdays with a spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is using statements of truth to gain a conviction about something. So we begin by statements of truth with a capital T, and that's the Word of God with a capital W. We make statements of God is all there is, the divine is everywhere, it is love, and when love is for us, there can be no power that can be against us. And then we bring into that consciousness, that vibration, that frequency, whatever situation or person that has requested prayer help. And then we claim and know the truth about that person and situation. Lifting that, and I equate it to like a court case where a part of my mind is convincing the other part of my mind of the truth, that perfection is everywhere and it's right now. And we let it go and let God take care of it. We were going to sing a song, but you can relax now. So you can, on the way home, just chant that to yourself. You can relax now. God's in charge. I love the way Deb's always saying, God's got your back. And that's a lovely way of recognizing, oh, okay, I don't have to figure it out in my limited human mind. Then when we look at our personal relationships and we are vibrating, where we are vibrating is how we attract people like a magnet into our lives to tell us, to be with us, to do what we've come to do on earth. And when I started on this path, those many decades ago, I would get high as a kite, meditating, blissed out, and then I'd go back into my work life or my family, and I'd encounter experiences, and I just would sit and go, how can I fly with the eagles when I'm surrounded by such turkeys? It was a signal that I was still working on my consciousness, and it still happens to me after all these many years of allowing people to mirror to me when I'm not in sync with my highest and best self. When we are in our highest and best self, that's when we attract people like Steve, and like Deb, and Tim, and Arch. And as Steve said, part of my talk, how did you know? See, we're vibrating at the same thing about last October. We said, let's record some little messages to put out, because we can't get together. And that was, in corporate training, we call that scope creep. When you have an assignment from God, and then all of a sudden you find yourself growing that assignment to include a prayer circle, and include such wonderful friends, and we meet every Wednesday on Zoom. We don't even have to get dressed. It's there at our homes. And that's one of the great things I've been experiencing about this Zoom technology or online technology, that we don't have to be in the same room to feel each other's auras. So every Wednesday, we connect online and do spiritual mind treatments. And I love the way Deb starts each session by going through the previous week's prayer requests and telling us who she's heard back from, and said, well, they got that, what they wanted, they got that healing, they sold their house, etc., etc. It's so affirming. And that is power in unity and loving it. This morning, every Sunday morning, there is a celebration online with the Spanish language Centers for Spiritual Living. And I am so blessed and inspired to meet with people that are in Lima, Peru, and in Tijuana. And there's even one woman, Rita, is in Madrid, in Spain. And to feel that we are casting a net when we pray in that group every Sunday morning. We're casting this net around the world. And back in the 80s, we used to say, to think globally and act locally. Well, I may be sitting in my living room, in my space, but with sending out those tentacles of connection and love, we are creating a difference, connecting with the whole world and lifting the vibrations of the earth. And we can choose to look at that and believe that and be lifted up. So really the dream is that we're separate. The dream. And the invitation now is to wake up. Let's wake up and live from a sense of wholeness and well-being, uniting with your divine self, uniting with people vibrating at that frequency in your relationships, and know that we are one world. And so it is.
There's a song that goes with this. And the maestro has it ready to go.
There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say.
One power. That was Daniel Naiman, and a remarkable remarkable musician. And it reminds me, when I saw it when Reverend Maureen, she sat down and got up, that I was brought up in the religion, Presbyterian predominantly, but some other people that were quite similar. And one of my first minister teacher friends said, yes, we're part of God's frozen people. So not too demonstrative, and people didn't generally stand up and sing and dance, let alone shout. And when I had the experience of being with people who were a little more demonstrative, it said, wow, you know, the power and the energy of connections there, even with those with rather undemonstrative appearance, but it certainly feels different when everybody's dancing and singing. So that's our goal for the next year, is to have us all dancing and singing when we play the music. Speaking of playing music, we have our treasurer, who is in charge of collecting huge sums of money.
Right.
We have in the basement coffers full of gold that we want to replenish. And we're doing it with passing this basket, and I'll let her take it from there. Daisy Beth.
Abundance. Abundance is about circulation. We're not adding anymore. We've got it here in the universe. We're circulating it in, around, and through. Here we have trees. We have the sky. We have the lake. Some parts of the year we have rain. Somebody in the complex that I recently moved to about 20 years ago, released a couple of parrots. Well, guess what we got? We have got hordes of parrots squawking up in the trees. It's wonderful to listen to. Absolutely wonderful, these little green parrots. But whatever we give, even if it's parrots, it starts the ball rolling. Abundance, prosperity is about movement. And bags full of money down in the basement ain't it. Movement, movement. Whatever we give pays for food, pays for housing, pays for clothes, pays for bus fare, or even enjoyable things like jewelry or a trip someplace. Movement. Nothing is lost. Nothing is stolen or given wrongly. It's circulation. Always about circulation. So start your ball rolling. Wherever you are, with whatever you have, start your ball rolling. We try so very hard to get it right, to contribute to the right places, to give it where it's most needed. But it really doesn't matter. Just get the ball rolling and get things moving. I had this all written out beautifully, but I left it on my desk. It's still sitting there. So we're doing this piecemeal instead. Start your ball rolling and allow the universe to distribute it where it needs to go. Contribute generously in this basket and in all the other baskets around you. There are no wrong places for contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy Beth.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
And now for our closing prayer. I am so grateful. Please join me as we honor and acknowledge that one source and that one power. God the good omnipotent, our oneness with you is our divine birthright. We name it, we claim it, we celebrate it as we go forth this day in conscious union with you. And we send your light and your love through us everywhere we go. And I say, thank you, God. And so it is.
Whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see?